BetOnline continues to be the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting. From the earliest odds to in-game live betting, BetOnline provides you with all the action and the ability to watch the games as they happen. With the largest selection of odds on everything from football, the NBA, and college basketball, NHL to UFC. Head online today, and don't forget to use our promo code Bleav, that's BLEAV, for your welcome bonus on your first deposit. Bet online, the game starts here. Welcome to Bleav in the Arizona Cardinals, part of the Bleav Network, joined by former tight end and Super Bowl 33 participant Ed Smith. My name is Javon Adams. Be sure to subscribe, comment, rate, and follow this podcast and tell all of your Arizona Cardinals fans and friends to do the same. You can also watch us on Bleav TV around the country, in airports, and on YouTube. Read the top Bleav stories at si.com and follow us across all our Bleav socials. Bleav in the Arizona Cardinals. What is good, Ed Smith?
Hey, what's going on, Jay? The theme of this season, when we finally get to the end of it, is what could have been.
Ooh.
And I think it really, you think about what could have been with this season if we had just won this game, if we had just beat Seattle the week before, and who knows, on and on as we go, because this division is up for grabs. Right now, it looks like Seattle wants it more than anybody else. I don't know if the Niners are going to start waving the white flag because they just put Christian McCaffrey and Jordan, their other running back, on IR. Their season might be a wash.
This is, and I've come across, especially over the Thanksgiving holiday, I've come across a couple of San Francisco 49ers fans, and I say to them, don't get mad. This is just that year, that off year where the San Francisco 49ers, I mentioned it to you a couple years ago on our terrestrial radio show, and I said,
all the time.
I was looking at this stuff, and I think maybe I'd heard something, and I went and looked, and I said, this is what they do every 2 to 3 years. It doesn't matter how well they train, whatever it is, that there's something that befalls, whatever the right term is, the San Francisco 49ers.
They are so physical. They out physical them own selves. And you say that every year. You're always, this could be the year. You are on top of that all the time. I think they actually beat themselves up, and and that's just from the physical nature that they play. And here we are. This is the year of the crumbling 49ers. But for the Cardinals, this could not have been written any better in terms of, if you just handle your business. ... Instead, it's like, man, every chance it's like, you give your kids an allowance and they go out and spend it on the bad stuff instead of the good stuff. And you like, you know what? I ain't giving you no more allowance. Every time I try to give you something, you got to do something you ain't supposed to be doing. So I tell you what, the best way to do, you just can't have nothing. We ain't just going to give you nothing.
This is true. So we do this thing twice a week. So in the first show of the week, we always look back on the game that was and kind of break that down. And then the next game, the show of the week, we look ahead to the opponent that's coming up, and the next opponent is going to be the aforementioned kind of Seattle Seahawks. And so we'll get into that. But the Cardinals, they lost. Arizona Cardinals are now 6-6. The Minnesota Vikings are 10-2. They lost 23-22. A few different things that I want to talk about before I get into all the negative stuff is kudos to the defense. Even though, yes, they gave up 23 points, but I think the defense, they did enough to be able to put the Cardinals in a position to win this game. Am I wrong, or am I just trying to find some positive out of a lot of negative?
No, you're absolutely right. And it's a shame because, it's a team sport. This is the ultimate team sport, if you would call it that, because no one side of the ball, can be like, say, well, the defense won this week, so we get them a half a point. And, the offense, we're going to take a star away from them. Maybe they'll earn that one back next week. No, it's a team sport. You win them, you lose them, defensively, offensively, special teams, all together. Now, what is sad is we went into their house, held them to 23 points, and 7 of those came late. We held them down to 16 points for the longest time. It was almost like holding on for dear life. When you're playing, like, remember when you were kids and you're playing tug of war and you're just holding on, just and trying. And eventually strength outweighs you and you get pulled over into the water. The flag goes to the other side. That's exactly what the defense did. The defense did everything they could, keeping them out of the end zone, getting them off the field on third downs, kept their running game intact. Only 68 yards on the ground for the Minnesota Vikings. 3 separate guys had 22 yards. So
at halftime, it was 9-6 Cardinals. So I'm just saying.
9-6. Yeah. You did everything. You kept Darnold. You kept after him. No interceptions, but we sacked him 5 times. We had him frustrated, and finally they pulled through, and our offense couldn't do just enough. Settling for field goals in the red zone instead of getting touchdowns, not getting some of those crucial third downs, and then the turnovers. And I mean, it's all written in stone now. You can't go back and get this one after you lost it. And it's like, once again, it's one of those ones you don't like moral victories, because you can say, we went up there and we fought hard. And moral victories are good for just that. Everybody feel good for a minute, but then you look at the sheets and it still says L on that side of the paper. And this was one that, man, you know how good this team would be feeling if instead of 6-6, you came home 7-5 with a win on the road in Minnesota, and you were just that close. And once again, I know we're going to talk about later on some of the things we would try to do different. At this point in time, it's no point in keep leaving anything on the cutting on the floor. I mean, we got to be, you got to take advantage of these opportunities. Because I personally thought this would be one of those games where we went up there and with Flores, the way his defense has been playing, especially at home, I thought they were going to get after Murray, shut our run game down, and then we would be just trying to keep it respectable, because how those games sometimes happen. They get out of hand next year. And by the second half of this game, I was like, Cardinals going to win this doggone game. And I kept thinking it. I just couldn't think it into realization. Existence. So, but, they're going to look back on this one, however the season ends. If you're lucky enough to get in the playoffs, then you'll say, you know what, if we would have just won 1 or 2 more of these, we might even had a home playoff game or whatever. But if we don't get into the playoffs, they're going to look back and say, if we would have just handled our business here and there, and who knows, moving forward, this season could have finished up so much differently. And I'll remind everybody, Jay, the regular season is to get to the postseason, because you never know what could happen in the postseason. A 9-7 Cardinals team many years ago went to the Super Bowl. So that the key is just to get the invite to the dance. And then we're gonna go after the prettiest girl in the room. But you can't go after her if you're not even at the gymnasium to go in and ask her to dance. So we're trying to get that invite just to go, and we're trying to screw it up every way possible to not be able to go. And then you get home, your best friend, he was able to go, right? And he's like, well, how was the party? Man, it was great. Guess who I got to dance with? Guess who I had to go on? And she kissed me before the girl that you wanted to go dance with. Right. And that's what's going to happen. We're going to get to the Monday after the dance and find out, what, like, you get it, watch the Seahawks get in or Rams get in and watch them make a run, and you got to sit there and that could have been you. That could have been you.
So we're gonna get into this, but you mentioned something I've got to give just a little bit of a pushback just to see what your response is, because the Cardinals are still in this thing. They're still in it. So they have if they lose to the Seahawks, then they're essentially 3 games back, because right now they're just 1 game back, but they lost but the tiebreaker is not in their favor. So if you can at least beat the Seahawks and be able to get back into this thing, so there is that. But you mentioned getting to the dance, and weren't we saying in the beginning of the season that this is still going to be there if we can win 5 or 6 or 7, maybe 8 if we're good, then that would be good? Is it because things changed and they got in that 4-game winning streak that now we're looking at it a little bit differently and saying, previous expectations be damned, we expect you to get to the playoffs, at least by winning the NFC West at the very least, because this conference, this division is so murky.
Exactly what you're saying. The combination of things. One, we were questioning whether this was a 5-6 win team or whatever it was going to be. They've shown us already, because they have 6 wins, that they've surpassed that. So let's give them a golf clap. The problem with this is now is we expected San Fran to be like 10-2, like the Minnesota Vikings. So we thought like our 6 wins at this point would still have us 4 games back, battling for 3rd or 4th in the division. But because San Fran is faltered, because the Rams had their early troubles, Seattle is right now sitting in the catbird seat, and we're like, wait a minute. It takes the whole equation and changes it. We're no longer doing multiplication. We've moved on to calculus.
You talking about trigonometry and calculus?
Trigonometry. Yeah, we've moved on because the equation has changed. Because now this division is so winnable, and we're doing everything we can to not try to win it. And at the same time, it's like it's still there close enough where we can almost taste it and see it. So now we got to go get it. But we're not going to do it by playing the way we have. And remember, not just this week in Minnesota, we threw one away last week in Seattle too. So you start stacking those. The further you get away from that 4-game winning streak, Jay, I say if something crazy happens, they come here and beat us in our house, that 4-game winning streak now looks like it was last season, because now we'll have lost 3 in a row with the possibility of losing even more. So like I said, the start of the season, it was all about, hey, perception is the team's not very good, and but no, all that has changed because it have all the other teams on our division come back to us, or have we stepped further to respectability? Whichever way you want to view it, it's right there. And we can't figure out how to grasp it. And it's going to be really frustrating, because like the Rams, they're not always going to get hurt as devastatingly as they did in the beginning of the season.
Right.
The Niners, they're going to retool and figure something out. They've gone, there's been a mass unit.
The Niners are, maybe I'm hating, and maybe that's me I'm doing the Ed Smith hate. Because everybody gives the Niners the benefit of the doubt. Everybody gives them the benefit of the doubt. Oh, they'll come back. Don't worry. You got 1 game and they 5 games back. Oh, don't worry about it. They might come back and get this. This is all they get the benefit, and because of the track record, I understand it, but it annoys me to some extent how much benefit of the doubt that they get.
I'm through saying they're coming back. That's other people at this point in the season with the injuries and everything keeps. You look at their schedule, bro. Their schedule couldn't have gotten tougher at the worst possible time. So for me, I'm out on San Fran. They're the least of our worries. Now, a lot of other people, they're like, all they got to do is get healthy or that. Nah, that shit. When you saw what happened to McCaffrey last night, non-injury, he goes down. He's now back on IR, which means he's done for at least 4 weeks. Season's over for them. If they were waiting for him to get back, my question is McCaffrey done for good? Seriously, when you start having these type of recurring injuries for a running back this late in his career, and say he rehabs all off season. Here's the thing, Jay. I've pulled calves before. I've got arthritis in my body right now. I'm 55 years old, though. Yeah. This young man is going over to Europe to try to get miracle cures and figure out what's going on and stuff like that. That's a bad sign. So who knows what, and even if he does manage to, he works all off season, he gets back to, he's not going to be the same dude he was even to start this season. He's a running back every year. He's aging. He's, the hits are piling up on him. So he's not going to be McCaffrey from last year ever again. Right. So he's a diminished, you're going to get diminished returns on him. So for San Fran, they got to start thinking outside of the box anyway. So they got to start retooling. And I know they'll hopefully, as smart as they are, they'll figure something out. It won't be McCaffrey, but they'll figure out other weapons. They obviously got to pay Purdy and do different things. But, the moral of the story, though, is this was prime time. The way everything's working out. If you're going to get them while they're down. That's like last year with KC. You got y'all let Casey win the Super Bowl last year. I mean, they had to go on a road and win too.
Yeah.
And you got that was when you're supposed to get them. Now everybody's this year they're not nearly as good. They're still 11-1, 10-1, whatever it is. So they're playing bad, and they're 10-1, 11-1. I have to look at the record, but I'm like, wait a minute. So what's going to be the excuse? You guys let them get home field advantage, and then you got to go in KC and win when you had them last year and you couldn't do it. So and that's what I'm saying with the Cardinals. This was the optimal time to strike, to be playing your best ball, and somehow figure out a win in Minnesota and in Seattle, and you'd be sitting in an entirely different seat right now. Like I said, I just said, if you got that one in Minnesota yesterday, you'd be 7-5. How good does 8-4 sound if you played and beat Seattle and beat Minnesota? The both those opportunities right there in front of you. So 6-6, 8-4, and that's clears the nose on my face. And I got a big nose.
Bleav in the Arizona Cardinals. He's Dad Smith. I'm Javon Adams, presented by Bet Online. So I'm gonna ask you this before we get into maybe what is ailing the offense. The analytics and what they say. So the reason why I'm asking this, and so I'm listening and I'm thinking, why are they tripping so hard? But fourth quarter, the Cardinals they go on an 11-play drive, 57 yards, took up almost 6 minutes. They ended up going for a field goal to make it 22 at that time, 22-16. And so there's so many people that said no. What the Cardinals should have done is gone for it on fourth down. So even if they didn't get the conversion, that it would have still been 22 to 22.
It'd have been 19 to
22 19. 1916. No, it would have been So it would have been 1916. So that way, if when the Minnesota Vikings get possession of the ball, they're not necessarily going to go for a touchdown. They're going to try to tie the game up, because that's what you're not going to be so bold in such a way, because you're trying to you're thinking ahead to playoff positioning, wild card, and all that type of stuff. And so instead of having 3 downs, if you're just trying to make sure that you're having such a drive that gets you to field goal range, then you take the field goal whenever it comes to that point. Now, if you're down 22-16, you're going for it on fourth down because you have no other choice. So therefore, instead of 3 downs, you have 4 downs. So you've now pushed your opponent, which in this case is the Minnesota Vikings, to continue to go for it and continue to try to be bold in that way. What's your thought on that? And so as I've been thinking about it, it seems to make sense, but it would seem like such a difficult decision to make if you're the coach and you're leading 19-16 at that time to be able to not just take those points and go up 22-16 unless you really have people in your ear that you really trust telling you, no, we got to go for it, and these are the reasons why.
This is a great example of how analytics can be twisted and formulated to make everyone's argument. Okay. When you're doing the assessment on Monday, Jay, everybody can be right, and you can point at everybody and they can be wrong if they don't believe in your analytics. And right. I say that because if they go for it and don't get it, and then Minnesota gets it and they go down and then they don't get their touchdown, but they kick it and tie it, and then they win it in overtime, what's everybody going to say? That's why you go for it, or that's why you should have did this and instead you did that. If you'd have kicked that field goal, you'd have forced them to have to go get a touchdown. But because we kicked the field goal and then they only needed a touchdown to win it, and which they did, then that was the wrong move. I will say this. In this situation, I'm looking. I would like to even dive even deeper.
Okay.
And this is a lesson for the coaching staff. Mm-hmm. In my opinion, it's almost like they're making the decisions in real time, right? Instead of being prepared for every scenario and decision to be made during the week.
Gotcha.
Meaning
If we get in this situation, then this is what we're going to do.
Belichick is a head coach that was prepared for every possible scenario. When do you take a safety? When you kick the field goal? When you go for it? How much time is left on the clock? When do we run a fake punt? When do we? Every scenario possible. It was like he had the Rubik's Cube of all decisions. And what was that little thing girls used to do all the time with the paper thing? Right? That thing. He would have every scenario mapped out, and they would prepare and practice for every scenario.
Right.
So when it came time to make it, it wasn't, what do we do? You just get the sense that the Cardinals are still making moves as they're being presented to them instead of, well, this is our philosophy and this is our game plan. And the reason we did this is because we prepared for this and it said X, Y, Z. So until we get a coaching staff like that, it's always going to come down to them looking at a sheet of paper and trying to figure it out rather than them having a gut instinct or something they were prepared for. And regardless of how it turned out, we'd already predetermined we were going to do this in that situation. And that's what I would like to see more rather than, hey, the analytics said, no, we told the analytics what the hell we was going to do. We solved that problem on Wednesday or Thursday of this week, and we were prepared for it. And what happens also, Jay, if you're prepared, if the coaching staff's prepared for it, who else is also prepared for it?
The players.
The players. And what happens is if your players are prepared beforehand, because, hey, guys, we went over this. If we get down here, don't be shocked. A lot of times, coaches won't make it like they're looking at their play, like Murray comes off to the side, and they're looking at guys, and you can see like that confused look, like what are we going to do? Nah, this ain't the time let's just go ahead and kick the field goal and get it over with. Yeah, I mean, because might not be ready for that. Let's just go ahead and kick the field goal, and then we'll rely on our defense. Defense been stopping them all game. Let's just, and so you make the decision, like I said, without the buy-in from the players, and like I said, too many times. And I'll tell you something, we've been watching the Detroit Lions do all this kooky and crazy stuff for tight end. Did you see they tried a tight end? I mean, a lineman flea foot. They gave the ball to their right tackle on an end around, and he was going to throw it on Thanksgiving
I did not
Day.
See that. I did not see that.
Oh, my God. Yeah, if you get a chance, you got to look at it. But they're doing stuff to make teams have to prepare for everything, and I guarantee you they're also preparing for every scenario. And that's what I'd like to see the Cardinals be more proactive than reactive in those situations. It was almost predestined that when they were getting down there, it was almost like the question was, do you kick it or do you go for it? They didn't even know. So they kicked the field goal because that seemed like the safe thing to do, right, Jay? And that safety bit you in the ass this time around. And if you would have had an opportunity to redo that one, they might have told you, man, this time we're just going to go for it. Because that would have been a strangulation around the neck right there. You go ahead and score a touchdown there, make it a 2-score game. But at the time, they thought they were doing the safe thing, the right thing, because they kind of held Minnesota at bay most of the game, hadn't given up any long drives. They were frustrating the Vikings. But now, like you said, they pushed their backs up against the wall, and they had the extra down to play with each time, and we finally just couldn't hold them out. Like I said, if we had to do all over again, they might have looked at the numbers differently. The problem is,
so this is me just being on the outside looking in, especially being that dude that's often less talented than the opponent that I'm facing. And when I say this, I'm thinking about pickup basketball. So this is apples and oranges, right? But I'm thinking, to hell with these dudes, man. I don't care. We're going to kick this field goal, and we're going to make them march down the field and beat us because our team is better than their team. What? Is that? And I would say that's too much crazy. That's too much crazy, right?
I would say to you, your team is not better than their team. You held them at bay for a little bit, but when you got Justin Jefferson out there, Hawkinson, Aaron Jones, run down the list. I mean, when you got all that over there on the other side, no, you're not better than them. You played better than up for the first 3 quarters and 7/8. But we all know 7/8 ain't 8/8. So that means there's still a little time left.
True. Okay.
Don't fool yourself. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's me because I think when I say this, because I want to get your thoughts on like what is wrong with the Cardinals offense. But when I say this, I'm thinking I get it unnerves me when I hear talking heads, or even when I hear people that played the game say, well, you can't get a ball to Mahomes because Mahomes going to come down and beat you, which is almost saying that we aren't good enough to beat this dude. We aren't good enough to beat this team. And it makes me want to rise up or straighten your back and say, they might beat us, but man, I'll be damned if I'm gonna just try to curl up into a ball and say y'all gonna beat us because we were trying to be aggressive, or even aggressive, or maybe we were trying to take the safe play, knowing that we can be able to bow up and stop you. That's all I'm saying.
You and I still haven't gone and done our casino day. We still haven't gambled together, right?
This is
but
true.
You know my favorite saying when it comes, if you're gonna play blackjack with me, you know there's only one way to roll, right?
What's that?
Scared money don't make money.
Okay.
Scared money don't make money.
Okay, I get you.
So if you want to sit over there, what that means to me, if I got two aces showing, or if I got two, and I'm sitting over there, I'm looking at you, you got sixes, bro, we doubling down. I don't care how much money I've lost and how much I got left on the table in my pocket. I got to go back in there and pull some of them winnings out, or go do a quick run to the ATM. Scared money don't make money. So if we're going to take the safe way out, then I'm not the dude you need to be gambling with. So I'm just saying that's my philosophy on the table. And as a coach, and I know it's easy to say because I'm sitting right behind the microphone right now. If I was on the sideline and all the bells and the whistles and
Dan Campbell's one of those dudes that does that quite often.
Scared money don't make money, bro. I would love to gamble with that.
And then on the other end of the spectrum. On the other end of the spectrum is the dude that was the former coach of the Chargers. He would say, whatever, man.
You know the saying for him to Staley, that was stupid money don't make money, though. Stupid money don't make money, not scared money. He was just stupid. There's a difference between being smart and doing what you're doing. Don't be scared, and just being plain, flat out stupid. And he was stupid.
Okay. Sounds good. So Bleav in the Arizona Cardinals. He's Ed Smith. I'm Javon Adams, presented by Bet Online. So point blank, what's wrong with the Arizona Cardinals offense? Because the defense has done enough to win. You know, we had a 4-game winning streak. There were some positive signs. I would like to think that I did bring this up during that 4-game winning streak, that Marvin Harrison Jr. had a great game. I mean, he had a wonderful catch, but how come he wasn't targeted more? How come he didn't catch more when he was targeted more? Though all those things coming into play, one of the things that's been consistent that I'll say that's right with the offense is Trey McBride. I mean, he is the ultimate safety blanket. That's a dude right there.
Yeah.
If maybe you disagree, but that is a dude.
He's promo material. Yeah.
What is in as I say this, James Conner has been extended for 2 years, so that's good as long as you're going to use this man, because he's an extreme talent and he sets the tempo and the tone for the offense. But what's wrong with the Arizona Cardinals offense?
Once again, inconsistencies, man. I mean, it's almost like we're using the backside of our play sheet. We're not running when we should be running, and we're not throwing the ball when we should be throwing it. It's like there's some
bad decisions by the quarterback too.
Horrible decisions by Kyler Murray. One, the interception that he threw late in the game. Did you know he was trying to throw that ball away?
Yeah.
And once again did the chuck and duck to the point where he literally threw it and did a pirouette. He threw it and turned away and did a 360. And then by the time he turned around, realized he didn't throw it far enough away and threw it right into the hands of a Minnesota Viking defender. So once again, what does that illustrate to you, Jay? I don't know if you know this, but we have a small quarterback, and he can't always see the field, especially when you leave him right in the middle of the pocket.
Right.
So when he's throwing sometime, especially to the deep down the field, to the sidelines and stuff like that, he has absolutely no idea where he's throwing it. He literally is throwing it blindly, chucking it and ducking it, as we call it. When I saw the replay of that from behind, he threw it and did a pirouette.
6 years in, though. And so when you think, and this is some of the chatter that was heard when I was listening, across the airwaves locally, 6 seasons in, these are while every quarterback makes, silly decisions, just because you're so many years in doesn't mean that you're
Yeah,
impervious for making those decisions. But those types in those situations are things that you should not be doing at this point.
I would rather have you just go ahead and take the sack and get it over with than just
Yeah.
throw it blindly. And then, like I said, if you're going to throw it, that thing should have been in the 13th row of the stands. He threw it to the sideline, not knowing what was out there, and literally just threw it right into the hands of waiting defender. You can't have that. And we've seen Mahomes and other top flight quarterbacks just do some stuff, and it's like, what the heck? So we know it happens.
Yeah.
But it's when it just, for me with Murray, it just, I don't know. Something he just inexplicably, sometimes it's like he just, once again, he's not using his legs to the fullest like I would like to see.
Yeah.
I know he had 48 yards on the ground, but that wasn't Kyler Murray 48 yards. That was any old quarterback could have got those 48 yards. I'm still looking for dynamic, get out on the edges, pick us up 15, 20, break one for a touchdown, which we've seen him do before, not just kind of, and I saw him a couple times take off like he wanted to run, and whether he realized he just wasn't going to get to the sidelines or whatever, almost like he just gave up and just, did the quick slide or whatever it was. I need to see more like dynamic quarterback from him. That's holding this offense back. Then the other part, Jay, they just, like I said, the game plan was not as consistent with the run as it should have been again. Once again, a game that we led most of it going down to the end, and we still managed to throw the ball 20 more times than we threw it or than we ran it. And it's like you can't have that, especially on the road. Our running game should be carrying us into those fourth quarters, and now it's Connor time. He's going to beat them into submission. He's going to have them by the end of the fourth quarter, no mas. They don't want anymore because we're just hitting them downhill. And you never saw that. It was like they give it to him. And then, for him to end up with 17 carries. I mean, that was a game.
For James Conner, 17 carries, 68 yards. Yeah.
That was a game where he should have had 25 to 30 carries. I mean, sometimes you lean on the bell cow. And it's like we get into those moments where, what do? We don't know. Let's another pass sounds good here. Let's just throw it. No, there should have been a consistent game plan of once we had the lead going into the fourth quarter, let's grind this one out. Let's beat them into submission. Right. We never got to that point. So and then with Marvin Harrison, bro, 12 targets, I think it was. Yeah, 12 targets.
The thing with it is, the 5 interception. It's when you look at the percentages there, and so there's two things that you can say about it. So I was out, grinding and working yesterday, so I was listening to the game, and especially those who were on the call. I trust and Bleav in their calls, and so they were calling it like it was. Is that so there's some Kyler throwing, maybe he's not as on point or as accurate as he should be, but there's a lot of Marvin Harrison, Marvin, we picked you where we picked you. You got to be more aggressive. You got to be able to position yourself to be able to get some of these plays. You got to be a little bit harder to be able to show yourself as approved, having gone through the fire and done what you need to be able to do. And that's it.
Discouraging.
It's concerning. Yes, discouraging is probably a better word. It's discouraging. Yes, there are wide receivers that have that difficulty making that transition. So the second year you see some of that growth, and yes, that's the case. Maybe he's a victim of those who have come before him. When you look at a Jefferson, when you look at a Chase, all that, those receivers that seem to have gotten it right away, and you thought that he was going to be one of them.
I'm going to throw a name out there that makes it even more embarrassing because it's right in our own division, and this dude was a 5th-round pick, Puka Nacua. This dude was a 5th-round pick.
Good point.
And this dude is hunting for footballs. I mean, he goes and gets it. He's in the blocking game. He's everything that you want your number one receiver to be. He's not even number one. They got Cooper Kupp out there. He's learning from standing behind one of the best, still going out there and being one of the best. He set the rookie record last year. So we know it can be done within our own division. What we're not seeing from Marvin Harrison is the aggression. Everything
is it can you teach dog? I mean, I'm just saying, can you teach dog? Can you teach that? Because I know that I'm not the dude that's gonna get up in somebody's face as J Love the MC. But there have been times when I've been okay, yeah, it's time to get a little bit aggressive on this mic. Well, I'm just saying, can you teach dog?
All right. Well, there's ways that, and I want to say this politically correct too.
Okay.
We're animal lovers, right? So this is all metaphorical.
Yes,
this
please.
Is all metaphorical. Okay.
Metaphorical.
I don't know if you can necessarily there to teach dogs, you got to beat dog.
Ooh.
If that makes any sense to you.
Yeah.
Like the people always talking about the pit bulls and stuff like that. They're vicious by nature.
Yeah.
But they could be, I've heard people, if they're really a gentle animal, if you put them in the right environment and stuff like that. Yes. Most people that get pit bulls, they know what they want them for. They want them to be aggressive. So they teach them to be aggressive.
Yeah.
They feed them. They don't feed them. They tie them up outside. You very rarely have I heard stories about the cuddly pit bull that stays inside and, cuddles.
Somebody knocks on the door and they get super mad.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's a reason why pit bulls are pit bulls. You can make a dog angry by how you treat it. The problem is you don't want to have to go through all that when you're trying to get a wide receiver to be more aggressive. And I mean, at some point, whoever his wide receiver coaches are, they might have to start getting a little more aggressive with him and, calling him out a little more. And the thing is with these kids today, though, Jay.
Real quick, I wonder if the wide receiver coach or coaches are on the side when something happens where he gets targeted and he doesn't bring it in with the strong hands, etc., whatever the correct things are, and he says, "I told you." I was trying to tell him I told him this week. I told him this week. I told him. Somebody, maybe you could tell him, Coach, because I told him. I got video of it because I know you don't believe me. I got video of it.
If that wide receiver coach wants to keep his job, he better be telling him that he told him, which means you got to start telling him more in front of everybody as well.
Yeah.
And this takes place not just on the practice field. We're going to sit and watch this tape this week and find out where we're coming up short.
Because the vertical game is coming up short.
Yeah, and I got to start being more aggressive with my grading of some of these routes and stuff. And we're not grading you like you ran 50 snaps and I gave you 48 A+ snaps. I'm minus and positive from now on, and our percentage might be down to 50% this week because this stuff is no longer acceptable. I need, they did a thing on Thanksgiving Day. Amon St. Brown, right?
Amon St. Brown. Yeah.
He was drafted well behind a whole bunch of receivers, so he keeps the list of the however many receivers there are, and there's plenty of them, right?
Yeah.
And he catches 200 balls per day off the jugs machine, 220 or whatever it is, after every practice. Every day is at the facility, he catches. So, I mean, he's putting in some work. I'm questioning, is Marvin Harrison staying after practice and catching those 200 balls per day? And, maybe his hands should be bleeding a little more from all the balls he's getting off the jugs machines. And when you're number round one pick, bro, everybody's been telling you how great you are for a long time. What do you have to prove at this point other than, it doesn't look good on film, but, I'm still number one pick and, I got my money and I'm not seeing the hunger and desire more than anything. Now, you talk about, can you teach dog? I'm not sure how much dog but can you teach heart? That's the part that I'm starting to look at, what's in here, bro. I got to see more aggression and more you going and getting it and showing us why you're the number one pick. I'm not seeing that right now. And then the other part of it, you and I talked about this before, they did not handle this offseason and training camp well. You can't expect this young man to come in after 0 snaps in the preseason with his quarterback during the preseason, no games, no experience, and then you get to the live ammunition, the actual
But he
live.
was so good. Look on tape. He was so good, though. He was
And
so
their
good,
timing was
player.
so great because they've done so much work together against
He
air.
was so good,
And
though. I saw him play at Ohio State, man. He was so
okay,
good. He
you
was
know that
so
was
good.
college, right? That was
He was
college.
so good.
That was college, and we got
So
some grown men out there
good.
pushing him off the line and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
and I think that's
Now,
definitely he needs
that
to be.
bro, these DBs, bro.
Yeah.
I was a tight end. I know how much these dudes used to talk, and
Mhm.
that was just to me. I wasn't a first round pick or anything like that. They get a rookie like him, and he
Mm.
gonna come into the league and show us, man. I guarantee if you gave him some truth serum and hey, Marvin, what kind of stuff are they talking to you about out there? Man, he might start crying. I guarantee you, they are out there abusing him right now.
Yeah.
And he's got what he has to do. He's got to show it. He's got to bring it. And right now, I'm just not seeing it.
Yeah.
And
and because even as short tempered as, no pun intended, I swear to God, that as Kyler can be, I swear that he's getting frustrated with some of this stuff because you were supposed to go this way. If the defense was doing this, you were supposed to go this way. And so you could see that on his face. And I think he was trying to do a good job of hiding it yesterday. But I mean, I've been in management positions and somebody asked me a question and I'm just, I thought I'm sorry. Everybody looking at me right now. Okay. Yeah. So let's talk about that offline. let's parking lot that so that we can be able to figure out how we're going to do this.
I guarantee you there's going to be a whole lot of work going on this offseason because they definitely need it. The problem is this, like I said, this season is becoming not necessarily a throwaway season, but you can tell this is just not. It's
becoming
gelling.
A season with greater expectations because of, especially with that 4-game winning streak.
Because therefore, now, and we need you even more now.
The coaches, the players, all your game plans, your precision with your routes, and all those things are being scrutinized to a much higher level.
The problem too, Jay, is it's not going to get any easier. It only gets tougher down the stretch because now you're even more so because at this stage in the season, you're no longer considered a rookie. You've got 12 games under your belt, and we're now still talking to you about running the right routes against certain coverages or how to come out of your break,
or just being aggressive when it comes to going up for those balls and being able to contend for them. Because here's one of the things that I'm trying to give some grace, because I've been given grace in my life, but is that if Trey McBride is, let's say, in his first year, he had some challenges. His second year, there was a leap. There was growth. So there's something that is there from when you're looking at the opportunity, when you're looking at the possibilities.
It's all right there in front of him. And what I worry a little bit about, Jay, is his dad notoriously was one of the nicer guys in the league. You never heard, you see the diva wide receivers that he is like from his era, the Randy Mosses and certain guys, Terrell Owens and Marvin Harrison was always one of the nicest guys out there, but he'll get you, he'll get you, he's got some beast in him, I'm not seeing the productivity right now from Junior, and I'm also just not seeing, like you said, that dog. Like there shouldn't be a ball in the air that shouldn't be his. He's got the frame. He's got all the guy giving tools.
Why
and
not?
Why not? Yeah. And what you don't want to happen is this spill over into next year as well. And this could be one of those situations where a couple of 2 or 3 years from now, it's like, wow, he came and went fast. And he's searching for a job around the league right now. But like I said, he's got time, and he's always going to have extra grace, good words you used earlier, because of his namesake, because of who he is. So he's going to get the benefit of the doubt. It's just that right now it's looking very pedestrian. And by this time in the season, I mean, thought we'd be like, man, rookie of the year, umpteen touchdowns and this and that. He's been an afterthought here. Trey McBride is the true star of this offense. And that's crazy. I mean, we never would have thought it. Trey McBride,
And I was a skeptic early on, but I think
around
middle of last year, I started started throwing up them threes for
You
trading
remember when we
John.
were like, what the hell they drafted a tight end
That's
for? Turned out to be the best move they could have made.
That's real, and I'll stay with that. So that is Ed Smith. I am Javon Adams. This is Bleav in the Arizona Cardinals. Make sure you tell a friend to tell a friend about what we have going on here at Bleav in the Arizona Cardinals. We are presented by Bet Online. We'll be back on Thursday doing this thing what we do. So we do this twice a week. Make sure you tell your friends what we have going on here. And as always, as we always like to say around this time, you can